Coming up, launch of GSAT-11 satellite. Watch live from Corral Launch Base, French Guiana.
And welcome once again to Kourou, the home of the Ariane family, for today's live broadcast of Ariane Space Flight number 246. We're very happy to have you all with us for the mission tonight, an international launch for some old friends in India and in South Korea. At this hour, all the teams involved here at the space base back in Europe and in Asia are gearing up for the liftoff. We're go for launch, and we are going to go in less than a quarter of an hour. We're coming to you live, as always, from the Jupiter Mission Control Building here at the heart of the space base, which is the center of the action. We're going to move outside for a first look at the launch vehicle. Ariane 5 is the reliable workhorse and the senior member of the Ariane family, designed for heavier satellites and, like tonight, for dual launches. If you're not familiar with her, she stands 54 meters tall and is in two parts. They call them composites, a lower composite and an upper one. The lower including the main stage and the two boosters, and the upper consisting of the two satellites and the vehicle equipment bay. The first of the two satellites there, the heaviest, is usually separated first. Tonight that's the case, GSAT-11 in the upper berth, and GeoComSat-2A in the lower deck, due to be separated at plus 33 minutes. As always, right, nearly 2 hours. That's longer than usual, so that gives us plenty of time. The total mission time, just under 1 hour, and that's pretty standard for an Ariane flight. Coming up now, in just a moment, a brief presentation of the mission. We're going to give you some highlights, maybe some things Atlantic. The boosters will burn 2 minutes, and they're discarded when they've used up their fuel. The main stage continues burning, of course. Less than a minute later, the fairing goes. Our altitude now 200 kilometers. 6.5 minutes later, the main stage shuts down and is cast off in its turn. The upper stage engine then ignites. Upper passenger GSAT-11 will be released at plus 29 minutes. It's held in place by this black structure called the Silda, which we no longer need, so we can get rid of that. Finally, the second passenger GeoComSat-2A separated at plus 33 minutes, and Ariane's mission is complete. Key players who make the mission happen. This is the Ariane Space High Command, or the flight desk, heading up the team clouds, but hopefully we'll have some good visibility, maybe even see booster separation with the naked eye. Two other people that you're going to be seeing today as we move back into Jupiter: the mission director, an Ariane space person, working alongside the range operations manager from CNES, or the DDO as we call her tonight, Fleur Lefebvre. You'll be hearing her a lot. The DDO makes all the key announcements on major milestones during the countdown and the flight, and she will shortly call out the 7-minute mark.
À tous de DDO, attention pour la séquence finale lanceur.
7 minutes at ISRO in Bengaluru, to our friends at GeoComSat and Kari in South Korea and at Daejeon, locally to the Kourou, Sinnamary and Cayenne sites, to our industrial partners, ESA and CNES, and to all of you following the broadcast on the internet. We hope you are enjoying it. Settle in, and we will cut away and let you listen to the DDO. She'll call out the final seconds. And remember to watch for the cryogenic arms to open.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage des deux EAP et décollage Ariane 246 avec GSAT-11 et GeoComSat-2A.
better
La propulsion est
visibility,
nominale.
if I may say, than anybody predicted. As the DDO says everything is okay on board, you saw Ariane rise right on
Et
time,
la
beginning her
trajectoire est
mission,
nominale.
lifting off from the ground here in French Guiana with a lot of fire. You can see that with her 2 new satellites. Always an impressive sight as Ariane roars off the ground on her mission. The 2 boosters providing 90% of our thrust right now, propelling the launcher along her trajectory at an ever higher velocity. Our mass at liftoff, 776 tons. Now, to get that sort of mass off the ground, you need a lot of push, you can imagine. And push we have. Ariane 5 burning 5 tons of fuel per second. That's 2.5 tons per second in each booster. Plus the core stage, the middle stage, burning another 300 kilos per second. The DDO says propulsion is normal on board, so we're doing fine. Very fine shots as Ariane 5 starts to head east toward the Atlantic, across the Atlantic. Ariane 5 now following the program in the onboard computer, which gives all the orders, including stage separations, which we will soon begin to see.
La
We
trajectoire
are
est
in the
nominale et le
first of
pilotage est
4
calme.
flight phases. We'll describe each in turn and in detail so you can follow Ariane as she heads east across the Atlantic. The first 3 stages are powered and the 4th is not. Right now, as you can see on the animation, the first flight phase, the single first stage engine and the 2 boosters are burning. The boosters will each consume their 240 tons of fuel in just over 2 minutes, in about 5 seconds. And they're the first to be extinguished, and you'll hear that from the DDO, and you'll see that, and
Séparation des 2 EAP, la trajectoire est nominale.
the white point of light in the middle is the lower stage continuing to burn, and the 2 orange lights on either side are the 2 boosters flaming out. That's what it looks like up there. There's another booster on the port side of the vehicle falling into the ocean. This first flight phase using 2 different types of propellant,
La
cryogenic
propulsion de
and
l'étage principal cryotechnique est nominale.
coming up next will be the separation of the fairing. On the bottom of your screen on the right, our altitude 100 kilometers. On the left, sorry, altitude 100 kilometers. On the right, 225 kilometers per second. As we wait for fairing separation, the DDO will call that out. And there you are, coming right on time.
Et séparation coiffe.
Separation is given by 2 pyrotechnic systems, blowing these 2 halves away in a very controlled explosion. No danger to the vehicle threatened, of course. There's another half on the starboard side of the vehicle falling away. We can separate the fairing now because we're out of the dense layers of the atmosphere. Over 100 kilometers up, there's neither friction nor heating, which could disturb the passengers. We can also get rid of any dead weight. The fairing weighs 2.5 tons, so it's a good time to get rid of it. Ariane 5 is the heavy lift launcher. The 2 other members of the family, Soyuz, lifting middle-sized payloads, 2 and 3 tons, and Vega, the light lift vehicle for missions of 1 ton, roughly. With its family of launch vehicles, Arianespace is the industry reference, providing launches of any mass to any orbit at any time. Arianespace is part of Europe's space effort, which is a 3-way affair among Arianespace, the European Space Agency, and the CNES, the French Space Agency. You find them all here, along with the customers. Arianespace is in charge of operating the family of launchers and of marketing the launch services and the Ariane program, ESA funding new programs, and CNES overseeing coordination of all space-based operations. And at the base, since October, we've been launching twice a month, every other Tuesday, in fact, in that rhythm, to take us until the end of the year. A launch base, of course, is a place where the launcher and the payloads are prepared, launched, and monitored before and all during the mission. And the CSG, the world's only dedicated commercial space base. Arianespace, operating the launcher family. The 4 place names, Galileo, Natal, Ascension, and Libreville on your screen. Those are the first names of our downrange tracking stations, and you'll be hearing from them very shortly. Up next, our first of many films coming up on the community of Ariane cities, highlighting towns that are part of the Ariane program. collected, transmitted back to the ground stations every second during the
Le
flight.
pilotage est toujours
And they
calme et la
recalled all the
propulsion de
launcher's
l'EPC nominale.
functions and her vital signs throughout the launch. Customers get immediate data on their spacecraft. This is important. Some data are analyzed in real time, and when they're not, they're studied after the flight to learn how the vehicle performed on its mission. And you see the cutoff of the lower stage and its separation and ignition of the upper stage. Right on time. We've had confirmation of these events.
Allumage de l'étage supérieur
You see
cryotechnique.
the lower stage falling away. It will drop into the Atlantic off the Gulf of Guinea. These three commands given by the onboard computer in about 13 seconds. So that brings us into the third and final powered flight phase, the single upper stage engine that'll burn until plus 25 minutes, or about 16 minutes roughly. And the job of the upper stage is to take the satellites to their injection point, position them for separation, and release them. Turning to our passengers, a film coming up now with a first look at GSAT-11. With this launch, Arianespace continuing to unite Europe and India with the mission. The Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, is so important to the nation and has done so much using space technology for national development, pursuing space science, research, and planetary exploration. ISRO focusing on all types of space applications, navigation, the only one that is not powered. We mentioned that Ariane had reached her maximum speed, which was 9.3
Début de la manœuvre
kilometers.
d'orientation au profil de
You're starting to see
GSAT-11.
her slow down. We're already down to 9.26 kilometers per second. In 8 minutes, when she separates GSAT-11 at plus 2907, her speed will be 8.7 kilometers per second. When she releases the Silda, that's the carrying structure for the second passenger, her speed will be 8.3 kilometers per second. That comes at 31 minutes and 48 seconds. And finally, when she separates GeoComsat at plus 3339, her speed will be down to 8.1 kilometers per second. Our customers tonight, old friends and partners of Arianespace. The relationships go back both a long way, nearly 30 years between Arianespace and the Koreans. Our next film explores the relationship between GSAT-11 and Arianespace.
GSAT-11 will bring in
La
a
manœuvre
revolution in space-based
d'orientation se déroule
communication in India.
nominalement.
Developed on frequency reuse principle, it will generate huge bandwidth in space, thus enabling Digital India program, Gram Panchayat connectivity, and also satellite-based broadband services to far-flung areas of the country.
GSAT-11 is the 22nd ISRO satellite launched by Arianespace. Our cooperation with the Indian Space and Research Organization goes back to 1981, when Ariane Flight L03 launched the Apollo satellite.
The launch campaign at Kourou has gone exceedingly well, thanks to the professional support of Arianespace and CNES teams. Post-launch, Team ISRO at Master Control Facility Hassan will perform orbit raising maneuvers, solar array and antenna deployments, and in-orbit tests before GSAT-11 is declared operational.
It is always with great pleasure that we welcome at CSG our Indian friends, with whom very friendly relationship links have been weaved over the years.
A mere minute and a half to go until separation of our first passenger, GSAT-11. GSAT-11, the 22nd ISRO satellite to be launched by Arianespace.
Manœuvre
It's
d'orientation toujours
also
en cours et
ISRO's
nominale.
heaviest to date. That's one of the reasons it is the first ISRO satellite to be installed as Ariane 5's upper passenger. Two additional satellites from ISRO are in Arianespace's order book, GSAT-30 and 31. They will be the 23rd and 24th ISRO satellites launched by Arianespace, and both, I believe, are set for next year. 1 minute to go until separation. GSAT-11 arrived here in French Guiana on October 26th, began its tests in the satellite preparation buildings here at the CSG. Process takes about a month, I think we mentioned that. GeoComsat 2A arrived in French Guiana on October 20th and went right to the satellite preparation buildings here for its checks. Coming up on confirmation from the DDO on separation of our upper passenger due in just about 20 seconds. You see GSAT-11 on the left of your screen. the gold and white square. Underneath that, the black bell-shaped
Et fin de la
structure
manœuvre d'orientation.
is the carrying structure for our second passenger. Always a moment of high concentration. The teams have gone through these procedures before, but it does call for tremendous focus. You don't want to say tense, but focused gives you an idea.
Séparation GSAT-11.
And there, the DDO has confirmed separation of our first passenger, and smiles from the ISRO people. You notice that people in the hall very politely
Et début de la manœuvre
holding their
d'orientation
applause.
au profit du système de lancement double Ariane-Silda.
Because the show is not over, we still have to separate our final passenger, GeoComSat 2A. And we are still in the ballistic phase, the final phase of the mission, in 4 minutes from separation of our second passenger. As you see, GSAT-11 beginning her life, pushed away from the mothership, what remains of the composite. We have to separate the two satellites and the Silda in 3 different directions, also 3 different altitudes. GSAT-11 was separated at roughly 1,300 kilometers up, and the Silda will be separated at about 1,900 kilometers up, and GeoComSat at 2,300 kilometers up, all in different directions to risk collision. We look forward to seeing with you next time. Goodbye, everybody.